Hello, Hollywood Times viewers. Today, we welcome the founder of Underground Music Collective, UMC, a nonprofit organization. His name is Gerard Longo.
Hi, nice to meet you.
How you doing?
Doing well, doing well. Just burning down the list as always. Just never a dull moment these days, but grateful for the opportunities.
No problem. I was reading about what you guys do, and it's pretty interesting. Why don't you tell us about your company that you have?
Sure. So, Underground Music Collective, we are a digital music resource and multimedia services company based here in Nashville. But we're not only based in Nashville, we serve musicians, artists, creatives everywhere. We are a fiscally sponsored project by the Arts and Business Council of Greater Nashville, which is a nonprofit organization. And what that does is that allows us to collect tax deductible donations to the fullest extent permissible by law. So essentially, the Arts and Business Council acts as our nonprofit, where we're able to collect donations, sponsorship dollars, that kind of thing, and have it be tax deductible. And so we on the UMC end, we have a variety of different types of content features, services that we offer our community. We started as a podcast, actually. The origin point was actually our official podcast, The Quinn Spin, which predates the entire publication and company platform. Launched that in 2013 in New Jersey, where I'm from. It was just me, a laptop, and a USB mic in my childhood bedroom, and it's grown into this entire ecosystem. A lot of stories in between, of course, and then we started the publication and I moved back to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, where there's a music scene about an hour north of Philly. We launched the blog as Lehigh Valley Underground in 2016, continued through 2018. And then that's around the time I decided I needed to make a move to a music market and Nashville came calling. So we rebranded to Underground Music Collective, uh, based our operations here ever since. And since then, we of course still offer the publication end of what UMC is, but also we have a whole bunch of services that we offer to creatives. And we're going to be rolling out even more exciting things as the year goes on for people to get involved in our platform and to grow with us. It's a really exciting time for us. There's so much happening within the ecosystem. And I'm just really, really excited to be here leading the charge.
Oh, cool. So, what was your inspiration for the vision of starting this whole thing?
It's interesting because, like, at first, when I first started the podcast, it was just a need for a creative outlet. I was a couple of years out of college. Football had just wrapped. I played football right up until semi-pro, right up until I was 25. Then it was time to kind of, get serious about life, quote unquote, or so I thought. I was in corporate
Yeah.
America, commuting to and from New York for a corporate job, and I just kind of felt like I needed my own thing. And, free time was at a premium. I was commuting to New York for that job. I was in a long distance relationship. My girlfriend at the time lived right outside of Philly. So I was like in between the two all the time. But I had a free weekend at home one August weekend in 2013 and just dug up my old college radio show. And I thought that was going to help me wind down for the evening, but it wound me up. I got really excited about the idea of doing something like that again. I remembered, back then we had, maybe 10, 15 people who would tune in every week, but they were there every week, and they were giving us stuff from the show for the show, like content, articles, that kind of thing. They were always participating. And it was just this really fun exchange. And I'm like, I want to have an impact. I want to do something that has an impact on people. And the tie into the music industry came shortly thereafter because, back in college, we'd always play music, we'd have an indie band of the week segment, that kind of thing. And when I restarted the Quinn Spin, as it is now in 2013, I decided to shift the focus completely toward independent artists. So I registered a Twitter handle, which we still have today, at the Quinn Spin, two N's in Quinn, two N's in Spin, and just started looking for bands and artists and just asking them if they wanted to be featured on this podcast that had 0 episodes that nobody had ever heard of. And surprising number of them said yes. And so, we from there, I had some community theater friends that joined in, some of whom still join on some of our episodes to this day, as co-hosts. And we had a good 2-year run, took a break. Life started going in different directions for people. I went back to Bethlehem, where I went to Moravian University, Moravian College, as it was known at the time, way back in the day when I was there. And I got a job there, and then I was looking around. I'm like, there's a music scene here, and I wanted to continue doing the show, but I felt like it needed more around it, right? And so I'm like, well, why don't I start a blog, and why don't I start reviewing songs and going to shows and reviewing shows and interviewing bands that way too? And so Lehigh Valley Underground came out of that because that's the region of Pennsylvania and it's underground music. So that launched in January of 16. And we had a good run up there in Bethlehem. I mean, Bethlehem's home to me as far as I'm concerned. It's such a wonderful city. It's the first place I ever went out and found for myself, And there's so many talented people. It's a very talented, rich area, with so many people of, so many different perspectives and abilities. And, we were able to highlight a lot of them and still do to this day through our content, even, through expansion, so we were there 2016, 2017, most of 2018. We won a few local awards. We were putting on events. We had a First Friday concert series in downtown Bethlehem every month. We put on other events and collaborated with some of the other larger organizations in the area. But by mid 2018, it felt like time to make a move. I personally felt like I needed to go out and gain the knowledge, of the industry so I could grow a better platform, for the artists we serve both back home and anywhere else. And so I started looking to go to an industry town. I was thinking New York at first because it's a lot closer and I had done New York before. I knew what to expect. But Nashville came calling. I actually had a couple friends who lived here and they sold me on it. And within a couple months from there, I was packing up my car with whatever would fit and drove on down. And I've been here ever since. And so in the process of that, we rebranded Underground Music Collective. And the idea was to not limit us to a geographical area this time. We're based in Nashville, of course, but we can be anywhere, and we can have our reach anywhere. We can support artists and creatives in any market because similar to Bethlehem, similar to anywhere in the country, there are talented people anywhere you look. And sometimes they just need to be connected to the resources, connected to some kind of pipeline that brings them into the industry and brings them into that knowledge and thought leadership and opportunity. Right. And so we want to provide that for people, and of course we started, as a blog here, but since then we've expanded to include all these other things that we're doing. We just launched a creative agency the 1st of May. We have our team of UMC verified creators who are ready to serve across so many different disciplines: photography, videography, web design, graphic design. We even have a couple music instructors if you're looking to take virtual lessons, and improve your craft in that regard. We have so many people just on our team and within our ecosystem ready to serve. We are providing more educational opportunities as well. We've been hosting a series of virtual panels touching on different topics within the industry, whether that's highlighting certain segments of the industry, certain genres, educating people as to the experiences of those who have been there and done it. We have a Wednesday Wisdom series on the blog, which also features industry insights from experts around the industry who have been at it for years, decades even, who have, again, been there and done it and really had the opportunity to gain a lot of knowledge and witness a lot of change, within the industry over the course of their careers. So we have, so much happening within this ecosystem. We have even more to come that I can't quite announce yet, but it's a really exciting time. And of course, the Quinn Spin's still going. We do live events here in town under our Nash Live brand. We're highlighting mostly independent artists, at local venues around town and giving them performance opportunities. There's so much happening here, and it's been amazing to see what it's grown into from that point of singularity, starting this podcast just because I needed an outlet, just because I wanted to have some kind of impact beyond the 9 to 5.
Yeah. So if an independent person, which is maybe a country music artist who's independent, comes to you, how would you help them?
It depends what they're looking for, with the agency, if they're in need of freshening up their look, as far as photography, videography, that kind of thing, we've got people for that. They can contract one of our folks. And the great part about the agency too is, in addition to getting this great work from our verified creators completed to help you achieve your artistic vision, what we then do is once the work's completed, we're going to be highlighting that through the platform and through the publication. So you get a little extra marketing and promotional boost from
Cool.
UMC itself by working with our people. And I mean, that goes somewhere, because we've had the chance to partner with some pretty big organizations on different events, and we have some good working relationships within the industry. So by being highlighted through our platform, it's allowing people to see and hear you, and you never know. We're at the point in UMC history, I'm proud to say, where you never know who's looking at our pages. You know what I mean? So like there could be an opportunity kind of waiting in the wings, at least to put you on somebody's radar by working with us. Right. Of course, we still do reviews, features, interviews. I'm still always looking for interesting people to interview on the Quinn Spin. That's kind of my baby. That's my part of this whole thing. That's like precious to me. But, we find ways to feature the music. We put out our weekly UMC 20 playlist, still posting reviews, posting different features highlighting the music being created here in Nashville and everywhere else. And of course, performance opportunities. Like I said, Nash Live in particular focuses on Nashville, although we are starting to expand outwards with our events as well under the UMC umbrella, which, depending on when this is going to be released, I don't know if I can announce that yet, but we're definitely looking to expand or re-expand to other markets with our events and build community there. And again, build these pipelines back into what we're doing, back into Nashville, back into the industry, and really just start to branch that impact outwards, to anywhere and everywhere. It could be Nashville or LA or New York, or it could be Bethlehem. It could be Little Rock, Arkansas. It could be Spokane, Washington. It could be anywhere in the country or world where we're building these pockets of community that are tied into this ecosystem. So there are so many ways, that we can help. It really is just a matter of what you're looking for.
Yeah. Do you have anybody, you mentioned abroad, do you have anybody from around the world yet?
We've had so many people submit to us. I mean, we have a lot of submissions that come in from Canada. We had last year, one of my favorite interviews last year on the Quinn Spin was this pop punk artist named Bronnie. She's from the UK. She's from Liverpool, and she found us on Instagram. And was like, "Hey, I want to come on your show. I'm coming through Nashville," and that was a great episode. It was such a fantastic conversation. She was touring with an American artist named Mason Levi, who's actually from Pennsylvania, not too far from where our blog originated. And we've had people just kind of come out of the woodwork, from all over the world. We had Bronnie on, of course. Claire Cunningham, who's based in Nashville here now, was born in Ireland. She was just on the show. We've had a chance to work with her. A lot of artists from Canada that have submitted to us and that we featured, blog features, playlists, that kind of thing. The virtual panels too. Like we had people just tuning in, from anywhere in the world. We had attendees in Canada. We had one attendee all the way from Ghana who was tuned in. It was like 1 a.m. Yeah. 1 a.m. in Ghana. And he stayed up because one of the panelists he was a big fan of, and he was a big fan of her work and her music. So we've had the chance to reach all kinds of people. I mean, Australia too, we've had submissions from out that way. We've worked with artists from Australia, over the past few years. A couple that come to mind, more recently, Firebird. They are based here in Nashville. They came over from Australia during the pandemic. And so great conversation. It's a brother-sister duo. They make kind of like this alternative, like industrial music, and just so fun to talk to, so insightful. And of course, they've got all their people back home who then have a chance to engage with us. Another artist from Australia who I had the pleasure of interviewing right when I moved to town was Katie Cole, who now is a touring member of the Smashing Pumpkins and an Americana artist in her own right. And her story was incredible. That was one of the first stories that I got to write moving to Nashville, and just hearing how she came from Australia and just found her way into the industry, into LA, and then ended up here in Nashville was truly inspiring. And I think just a case study for, the diligence that it takes and the hard work and the effort that it takes to make a run at this thing. Somebody coming from literally the other side of the world, coming here and really making their dream work and getting to work with the people that they grew up listening to and wanting to work with. Like, that's the dream. And we want to show people through our platform that kind of story is possible for you too. And so, by looking at those examples from all over the world and how they all connect here, it inspires me, it inspires me to keep building, and it shows me what's possible for our platform and for those who are connected to it.
Yeah. How was your business during the pandemic?
It was interesting because during the pandemic, so when I moved to town, I got a corporate job when I moved to town for a couple of years to just to kind of get on my feet, right? And
Yeah.
I was working from home doing that job, and then I was working on this at night. So, but what the pandemic did for me was it made me realize, like, okay, I have this thing that pays my bills, but I have this thing that I'm really passionate about that I want to build and that I came here to build to Nashville, because I'm 800 miles away from my family. It's like,
Yeah.
if I came here to do the thing, why not do the thing? So what the pandemic did for me was it kind of exposed to me like, okay, remember why you came here, and go in that direction. And so at the beginning of 2021, I actually took the full-time leap into focusing on UMC and everything associated with it, which I mean, maybe a questionable decision in some people's minds to make that leap in the middle of a pandemic and an industry heavily affected by it. But it's worked. We've stuck the landing to this point. We've had a chance to grow. Here in Nashville, I think things were a little more lax in terms of COVID policies and that kind of thing as compared to maybe cities on the coast. So we were able to start doing live events a little sooner. Like everything kind of started hitting a little sooner for us here in the middle of the country. So, it didn't really, we were never really threatened by it in terms of something that would put us under because I still had a day job for half the time, and then the second half, like, I had enough of a cushion while I was building to figure it out. And then here we are in this post-COVID world where possibilities have returned both in person and have remained virtual. I think what that time did too was it really taught me, especially after taking that leap, like everything that I needed to know, not only about building a platform, but the person that I needed to be to show up for that platform. And certainly, you take that leap, away from the comfy confines of a day job, right? And into the professional wilderness. And like, you are responsible for everything, especially as a solopreneur, as I was at the time, like you're responsible for every dollar that comes in and every dollar that goes out. And you have to figure out better and more efficient ways to make it. And honestly, like that's a journey that I'm still on. I think we're all still on it, no matter where we are in our journey. You could be an entrepreneur for 30 years, but with the way society, technology evolves, new revenue streams come into play, like you've always got to be willing to evolve and adapt. And that's something that for me, like it continues to evolve. I continue to find better ways, and we continue to find better ways as a platform. But without those early days after taking that leap in the middle of the pandemic and having to be extremely resourceful during that time, like I don't know that we're in this position right now. Without the personal lessons I learned during that time, I don't know that we're in this position, because again, it teaches you the holes in your game. It teaches you, the ways that you need to develop as a human being that then informs your platform and your business journey, right? Because I feel like so often there's always been this focus, you need to, in society, like you need to separate business and personal. And that's definitely true to a degree, but one does still inform the other. And the way you're showing up, right down to your habits, what time are you waking up, the food you're eating, the people you're spending time with informs, your overall demeanor, right? Which reflects in how you're able to show up for the business. So it's definitely been a huge period of growth, not only for us as a platform and as a company, into a company in the first place, but for me as a person. And without that, as the person who's led the charge, like I don't know that we'd be where we are.
Yeah. So what are your social medias for all of our viewers out there?
Oh, we got a lot. So the main one is at UMC Nashville on Instagram. That'll lead you into the whole ecosystem. And I should say, our central hub is undergroundmusiccollective.com. So that's where you'll find everything about the agency. You go to the homepage now and you land on two tiles. The left one goes to the blog, all the content that brought us to the dance. The right one goes to the agency where you can peruse the verified creators, see their portfolios, get in touch if you want to work with us, that kind of thing. But going back to social media, UMC Nashville, that's our main channel on Instagram as well as on YouTube. We're also on Facebook. So you could search Underground Music Collective. You'll see the big UMC white letters on a gray backdrop. You'll see us there. The Quinn Spin is also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Quinn Spin Official, 2 N's in Quinn, 2 N's in Spin.
Wow.
And then Nash Live, you've got at Nash Live shows. That's where we post about the events that we're doing here locally. And if you want to follow me, it's at Gerard Longo 12. That's Gerard, not Gerald. Longo, Longo 12. And I post mostly UMC stuff and some fitness, family, and travel things as well if you're interested in that. So a lot of places to follow us. So take your pick.
You've got a lot going on. So you said you have a few things coming up that maybe we'll find out eventually.
Yeah. We have, again, so many initiatives that we're working on, and I have to give a shout out to Brandy Sims and the team at Branding PR that they've been so valuable since we started working together several months back. Not only in terms of media relations, having the chance to talk to folks like yourself, but thinking big picture and conceptually, because this has been the year where I've really gone full transition from solopreneur into running a company, right? And it's been so important to have people on our team who are helping push forward that big picture when I'm in the weeds, working with clients and like doing all the day-to-day stuff, to help keep me accountable to that big picture vision, where all of these things are starting to come to fruition, the agency being one of them. We have some other ways that folks are going to be able to get involved as affiliate marketers with us. We have some other advertising opportunities we're going to be rolling out very, very soon, revamping that end of the business. And again, on the events end, we're going to be trying some stuff out later this year outside of Nashville as a litmus test to see how it goes, and see where we can expand next. So we've got so much happening. The Quinn Spin too. I mean, it's a 10th year of the podcast. So there'll be celebrations as we get toward the actual 10-year anniversary. We have a date in town here, September 8th at the Cobra, which is one of our club venues here, where we're going to be bringing just a musical lineup of all previous guests and throwing like a 10th birthday party for the show. And we've got a lot more in store from there. I mean, and always new things popping up. So stay tuned. Undergroundmusiccollective.com, at UMC Nashville. Those are the first two places you'll hear about things usually. And then just follow the trail from there to whatever you want to know.
Well, yeah, it sounds exciting. And we'll make sure that we get this up there soon and follow you. Keep up with what you're doing. It's an amazing stuff. It sounds like you've got coming up and going on.
Yeah. It's a lot of work, there's a degree of having to keep the plate spinning, but I think too, that's why it's important to surround yourself with good people and a good team. And that's definitely something that, on my journey has been a huge lesson, and I'm thankful to have the folks in place that we have, and looking forward to continuing to grow and continue to build those relationships and really build our community. So sky's the limit. I feel really, really optimistic about where we're headed. I love the direction of this. I love that I get to wake up and focus on it every day. Yeah. And I can't wait for what's next.
Well, we do appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today.
Thanks for having me. Anytime.